Live at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Welcome aboard. Yes, sir. It is time to have some fun. It is Friday. Get used to it because this is how Fridays are going to be now. Every Friday. It used to be once a month, but now we're going to do it every Friday now, where we are going to be here at Craig Zinn in the morning for a couple of hours, and then we're going to be at Hialeah Park for a couple of hours, and we'll have some fun out there. So, well, actually on Fridays we'll give you several hours of programming. That's a good thing. It's kind of like a two-part show. You get a little taste in the morning, and it's good for us because we get to kind of talk about the stuff that happened last night, and it was pretty torturous. And then probably in the afternoon we get to focus on some of the stuff that's going to happen over the weekend and all of that. So we'll have a little fun with a bunch of things. Although what wasn't fun was yesterday. Although I got to tell you, if you listen to the show, we told you bet La Tech. And so we said, hey, listen, there was no reason for the University of Miami to be favored yesterday. And I even thought that La Tech would win the game, and I was right, 14-0 as Miami ends up 6-7. I hate that I was right. It was one of those days where you're just disgusted with the program. And it starts to get to a point where we're all blind-ass fans now at this point. We are. Because there is no turnaround. There hasn't been a turnaround for 15 years. You got to stop thinking that Coker was the answer, because he wasn't. He only rode the coattails of the team that they handed him. What he then handed Randy Shannon was crap. And what Randy Shannon had was also crap. And what Al Golden has was also crap. And what Mark Richt did was also crap. And now what Manny Diaz has done so far in his first year is the ultimate load of crap. I mean, that's really what it is. We've got to get to the point already where I don't want to hear anymore about your promises. I don't want to hear about these recruits. I don't want to hear about any of this stuff because all of it is hollow. And yesterday watching that, I don't even want to call it a performance because it was pathetic. And I told you guys leading up to all of this, do you know how asinine it is that you didn't know who your quarterback was? Do you know how disgustingly unorganized they were yesterday? That you've gone through a whole season, you're at a bowl game, and you're playing Tate Martell? Tate Martell looks like he has yellow pages on his wrist. He has so many pages. Like he was going to remember. The guy was in there for a series. Like he was going to run an entire offense or something. And the guy looked like a clown show out there. He wasn't ready to play. How the hell did he practice? What made you think he was out there? He should have been out there. And please, it's not on all Dan Enos here. The head coach has to see what's going on too and make the call and say, hey Dan, stick with Jaron Williams all the way through no matter what, which is what they should have done months ago when he threw the 3 interceptions, but just screwed the kid up, pulling him and starting him and pulling him and starting him. And sure enough, yesterday, more pulling and more starting and more pulling and more starting. And you got all the guys in there. You got Perry in there. You got Tate Martell in there. It was just, it's embarrassing, man. It just gets to a point where, where's the hope? You want to keep generating false hope? Because that's all we do with the University of Miami. There's nothing of substance going on at the University of Miami, and it's been going on for 15 years. I don't care about the little moments that they have every once in a while. It means nothing. They're not building anything that's sustainable. They're not building anything that can compete with Clemson. Forget Alabama and forget all of that. I'm just saying, even in the ACC, okay, the University of Miami is so sorry they lost to 2 teams this year in Conference USA. Let me repeat that again. The University of Miami football team is such a sorry-ass bunch. They lost to 2 Conference USA teams and got shut out by one of them. Just let that marinate. They lost to FIU. They lost to Duke. They lost to Georgia Tech, and they lost to Louisiana Tech. If Tinker Tech was next, they'd lose to them too. And Manny, look, I get it. We got to bring him back next year, give him one more shot. But in your heart, right now, do you have any hope? Do you believe Manny can do anything right? Because I don't. He looks to me like a coordinator. And it just looks like a Cam Cameron move. And look, I know the University of Miami is now Florida State, and they can't write a check. They're not like Alabama. But I got to tell you something. I've been all for bringing Manny back. But if you told me that you fired Manny, I wouldn't complain anymore at this point. I wouldn't say, that's not right. He in a way, he does deserve to get fired. As unprepared as you are every single week and every time you have time off. I mean, you know they had to make it extra special this time around. They were off for a month. So they said, well, this time we'll top it off. We'll get shut out. Right? I mean, might as well. The other 3, we just started slow and we looked crappy and we played bad and we lose. But this time around, Manny and his staff were kind of like, we got to make this one extra special. We've been off for an entire month. Let's show people that we don't want to be here. We're firing our coach, and we'll get shut out. Hey, what's he going to do now with an entire offseason? Oh, my God, who do they open up with? They'll probably lose 77-0. Can you imagine Manny Diaz now with an entire offseason? It just gets worse and worse. And yesterday, let's go over some of the reactions from the game. First of all, let's go over Manny Diaz talking about the terrible offense.
On offense, and our inability to sustain drives on offense gave us no chance to win this football game.
Let me hear that again. Play it again.
Our execution on offense and our inability to sustain drives on offense gave us no chance to win this football game.
Right, but that's your fault, dude. It's your coaching staff. You're the one that has to prepare these players. I look at Eric Spoelstra and his staff, and they prepare their players their players in Sioux Falls are better prepared than what goes on at the University of Miami. I look at Brian Flores, and here's a guy that he's played like 800 players this year. He's had more lineup changes than even Eric Spoelstra did during the blood clot run for, Chris Bosh. And the dude adjusts. His team is as prepared as it could possibly be in their situations. And yet Manny Diaz and his offense, they had a month off. They couldn't figure out a quarterback. They couldn't figure out an offense. And they couldn't be even competent. They couldn't find a way to establish something against a team that never shuts out anybody. Because Louisiana Tech, the last time they shut out somebody, they were wearing leather helmets. That's how bad it was. Manny Diaz on doing everything the wrong way. Manny Diaz on doing everything the wrong way.
Full credit to them. Whatever you could do to play poorly on offense, we did all of that tonight. And when you come to a point like this, there is a lesson that has to be learned on it. And it is, again, it's a responsibility to correct the mistakes and to fix what needs to be fixed.
What have you fixed? Play that again.
Full credit to them, but whatever you could do to play poorly on offense, we did all of that tonight. And when you come to a point like this, there is a lesson that has to be learned on it. And it is, again, it's a responsibility to correct the mistakes and to fix what needs to be fixed.
But what lesson did you learn all season? Because it was the same team all season. What did you fix? Because it was the same team all season, Manny. The same exact freaking team. Poorly coached, poorly prepared. They had no idea what they were doing. You realize this was supposed to be a 10-win season. Because you got to beat Georgia Tech, FIU, Duke, and La Tech. You ended up 6-7. You're supposed to be 10-3. Think about that. You're so poorly prepared. You're such a terrible coach, Manny Diaz. Dude, you can't beat the Techs. You can't beat FIU. Are you out of your mind, bro? And you're going to sit there and start talking about what lessons you got to learn and what issues you correct? Again, an Eric Spoelstra team gets better as the year goes on. And then and I'll switch it over to Brian Flores, because I got to use the Brian Flores one, because the Eric Spoelstra one is a little unfair, right? Because Manny Diaz, in his greatest dreams of his life, could never be Eric Spoelstra. Okay? He has no concept of what it's like to be a real head coach. So let me go to Brian Flores, who's an infant as a head coach in his first year, just like Manny. And yet I watch his teams are better prepared with no talent. His teams give better effort week in and week out. Let me explain something to you. I tweeted it out yesterday, and I put the video. You got a UM player streaking downfield on a punt. He nails a guy before he catches the ball. It's a penalty. Okay? The young man gets up and is baffled that there's a penalty almost. That's what he looks like. He looks around like it's, really, there's a penalty? And it's like you didn't realize you hit him before the ball got there? That you got to, like, give him time to catch the ball? And then I want to tell you how freaking stupid this football team is. Go to my Twitter. In fact, I should retweet that and put it up on the main one right at the top of the feed. Everybody is high-fiving and celebrating the hit. It's a penalty. It's called a bad play, a stupid play. But the UM players magnify their stupidity by actually celebrating a bad play. That's how you're coached? I'm a coach. I'm losing my mind that my team is celebrating a penalty, a dirty hit, because that's what it ended up being, a dirty hit, because you didn't give the kid time to catch the ball, so you took a shot and knocked his head off without actually waiting for the play to happen. So you caused a penalty for your team. And then, in turn, everybody on the sidelines is celebrating you. Think about this. That is what you have here at the U. The new Miami, okay, celebrates penalties and mistakes. I just retweeted it now. So you can see it. You can go to my Twitter page at Big O Show. I saw that yesterday, and I'm just like, that's. I got to say that's the reason why I said earlier that if you fired Manny, I can't even defend it. I can't even say, that's unfair to him. Give him another year. Because so you coach your team up to actually celebrate penalties. Are you serious? These are the things that make you think there is no hope at the University of Miami. Now, let's hear Manny Diaz about how you want to hear something. You want to hear an empty statement? Here's an empty statement.
The version we saw tonight can't take part in 2020 in any way, shape, or form. And that's up to me to fix and make sure that what that looked like tonight doesn't show up in 2020. And it will get fixed.
Now, that's Manny Diaz talking about it will get fixed. Let me ask you, where do you get the confidence that it's going to be fixed? Please explain that to me. Where the hell do you get that confidence? Let's hear that soundbite one more time, Bill.
The version we saw tonight can't take part in 2020 in any way, shape, or form. And that's up to me to fix and make sure that what that looked like tonight doesn't show up in 2020. And it will get fixed.
Yeah? Well, Manny, why didn't you fix it the first time after you had a bye week? And Manny, why didn't you fix it the second time when you had a bye week? And let me ask you something. Why didn't you fix it the third time when you had a bye week? And now you had a bye month, and you couldn't fix that. You couldn't figure out your quarterback. You don't even know which is the best one out of the three. Because if they all three suck, one of them's got to suck the least. Well, you got to stick with that one. And if it happens to be Jaron Williams is the one that sucks the least out of all three, then you're not good enough to see it and stay with the kid. Instead, you ruin him from the get-go when he has one bad quarter. He plays 3 good games, he has 1 bad quarter, and you crap all over him. Your defense gave up plays, gave up big plays, was part of losses, and that's your defense. And that's why when it's lazy for any UM fan to blame it all on Dan Enos. Because the head coach has got to be there in every practice, in every film session, and he's got to put his foot down and say, no, we're not doing this. Let me ask you, when Don Shula had the Dolphins, do you think he asked the coordinator, we'll run Kick Morris and Zonka? When he had Woodstock, do you think it was the offensive coordinator's decision to go with Woodstock? No. When he got Marino, he said, we won't run that much, but we'll throw it because we got Dan. Who do you think had final say in all of that? Who do you think approved in which direction they were going to go on offense? You think the offensive coordinator had anything to do with that? He might have had an opinion, but in the end, who the hell is going to make the opinion? I mean, the final say? The head coach. So the head coach is not smart enough to see everything that's going on offense and figure it out. So you're not suited for this job. And that's why when you tell me that you're going to correct it, it is the most empty statement that is out there. Because at this point, here's the sad part for Manny Diaz. He has 0 credibility. 0. None. Because he had a whole year to prove to us. Brian Flores, all he did was earn credibility with me. I didn't know Brian Flores from a hole in the wall. All I said was the same thing most of you say. Just another Patriot coach that will probably fail because he's away from daddy. Right? I mean, that's kind of what you thought. You know what I thought. I told you guys,
I said, normally these coaches don't last expansion teams anyways. They don't last rebuilds. I don't expect Flores to last anyway. He'll be here for a couple years. When they're ready to turn the corner that they've loaded up the team, they'll go get another guy. And throughout all of that, I said, we'll find out if he can coach. If he can coach through the worst situations, then he'll stick. And if he can't, he won't. And guess what Flores is doing? He's working his way to sticking through this bitch. Now, it's only 1 year. He's got to do it again next year because that's what the good ones do. The good ones can pile up one good season after another. Coaching, playing, drafting, I don't care what you do in this league. So Flores is going to have to come back next year and show us that he is a good coach and that he's going to build on what he did this year. And if it's 4 wins this year, well, then next year, let's see if he can get 6, 7, 8 wins and keep the trend going that way. And keep watching players improve around him, where we couldn't say that under the University of Miami and Manny Diaz. KJ Osborne and these kind of guys that just transferred in, I can't call him for the development, but I look at the entire team and never developed. It regressed. It won less games than last year, and it lost 4 very winnable games. 4 games that you were supposed to win. 4 games that you have to win. 4 games that you had no business losing whatsoever. So when you tell me that you're going to fix everything, I think you're full of crap, man. Manny Diaz is going to have a turnaround like we've never seen before in South Florida sports. I don't even know if I remember a coach that started off so bad that we then ended up falling in love with him and saying he or she is an incredible coach. I don't know if I remember one right now. And look, Blake James comes out with his statement, and with Blake, I understand what he's doing. It's his ass. He can't bail out on Manny right now, because if he does, he's toast. So he put out this statement. He said tonight's game was a disappointing finish to a season that fell well below the high standards of the University of Miami program. I'm going to get to that one soon. Manny Diaz is the right leader for our program, but clearly changes are necessary and expected. In other words, the whole Enos thing. Manny's in the process of making a full assessment of the football program now. Well, is he making assessment or is he making changes? Which one is it? Because there's already conflicts in that statement. You're already assuming that changes are coming, but then he's assessing? No, I think we're done assessing. Changes are coming, but whatever. Anyway, might have wanted to think about that when you were putting this whole thing together. Anyway, Manny's in the process of making a full assessment of the football program, including coaching and staff. I remain committed to the young men in our locker room, and I'm excited to welcome our new recruits to the U family. We continue to tirelessly provide the resources needed to get to this program back to competing for ACC and national championships. And they're doing their best in that area. I'll give Blake James credit there. And look, I'm not going to kill Blake James for Manny Diaz. It does look bad on him right now, but I'm not going to be a phony. I wanted Manny too, man. I was fine with the coaching search. I thought we had the right guy. I thought a guy that did a great job with the defense. Maybe he was ready to take the next job. A Miami guy, all these things were in place that you're like, that's the other thing that a lot of us thought Manny was the right guy because, one, he had done such a great job with the defense, but two, being a Miami guy, you thought, okay, we don't have to go through this, revolving door of coaches because they're just using the U as a stepping stone to get to the pros and get to their next step. And that's kind of what's been the MO of the University of Miami. So a lot of us that have been U fans for a long time, we really wanted a guy that took over the program and that we didn't have to worry for a long, long time that he was leaving. And that's kind of what we found in Manny. We thought that was the guy. And so did Blake James. It was kind of, you think about it, it made a lot of sense. But now you have to feel like I feel. All of us that thought that Manny was the guy were wrong. We're wrong. We're enormously wrong. It looks like we have no shot at being right. Come on, let's just be honest here. And when Manny gives me this hollow-ass statement that this can't happen in let me play it one more time, that it can't happen in 2020. Let me hear it one more time.
The version we saw tonight can't take part in 2020 in any way, shape, or form. And that's up to me to fix and make sure that what that looked like tonight doesn't show up in 2020. And it will get fixed.
Who the hell says you're qualified to do it, my man? Because I've watched this entire season. You're not qualified to fix it. You have no idea. You look clueless on the sidelines. Clueless. That's disturbing, man. The coach of my football team, my favorite football team, walks around like no idea what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. His players have no idea what he's doing. And let me tell you something. Yesterday, when some of you were saying, they're not playing, they look uninspired. I could tell they hate Enos. They hate Manny too. Because you play more for the head coach than anyone else on that football team. And if you care and respect your coach like they do for Brian Flores, they play hard for him. They play hard for Spo, man. I don't know about you guys, but I just see, again, I'm going to use both examples, right? I'm not just going to use the championship-proven coach, the best coach in this town by 1,000 miles. Well, I mean, Quinville's right there with him. I can. Quinville has titles too, so whatever. But okay, those two guys. But I'm not going to use every comparison with Diaz with the championship coach. I'll use it with Flores too, because I see the same characteristics. Same thing. Flores and Spo, there's a lot. The only difference is right now, obviously, Spo's done 4 billion times more winning than Flores. So Flores has to catch up, but Flores at least shows me. When Flores tells me, I'm going to fix this, I believe it, man. I believe it now. He's earned it for me. I don't know about you guys. He's earned my respect. Maybe next year I'll lose it. Maybe next year he pulls an Adam Gase on my ass. And I can't do anything about it, and neither could you. But I like what I see from Flo. I hate everything I'm seeing from Manny Diaz. And let me tell you something. It gets to a point where I actually have sympathy for the man. There was a part of me yesterday that felt sorry for him, because it's almost like that child that took on something that they weren't ready for. And as a parent, you're watching and you know that, and you kind of knew that they were going to bite off more than they can chew, but you kind of like, okay, well, they got to grow and they got to make their own mistakes. And that's kind of what I saw in Manny Diaz yesterday. I saw the child that took on a job that he or she wasn't ready for, and they looked overmatched, and you're the helpless parent at the moment, hurting, but you have to let them go because they've got to learn their lesson. You know what I'm saying? If you've been a parent, you know what I'm talking about. Every kid's going to do something that they're going to, it's probably going to be failure. But you're at a point where you can't stop them. They got to make their own decisions, and they got to make their own mistakes. Just like you and I make our own mistakes. And sometimes we bite off more than we can chew, and it's just one of those situations. And that's where I'm at with him at times yesterday. I was like, I felt bad for him already at this point. He's outmatched. He's outwitted. He doesn't have the control of his team. They have no desire to play hard for him. They don't play smart. It's really, really disturbing. I got to tell you. Marcus says, I want to see Big O at a press conference. My brother, I did press conferences for 20 plus years. So if you're a newbie and you got about 3 pubics on your body right now, and you just come out of the womb, Marcus, and you might be in your 20s, I'm in my 50s, dude. Been asking Shula and Riley and Saban and all those kind of guys tough questions. So that doesn't matter to me. So it's not about that, about me being at a press conference. I don't need to be at a press conference. All right? That's not about that. I've been there, done it. All right? I've had players going after me. I've had players put headlines in the Herald for me. Okay? They put a 3-inch headlines in the Herald one day because Mike Lowell pissed at Big O. All right? So don't worry. I've done all this, bro. Been there, done it. That's not an issue with me. If anybody saw me with Al Golden slicing his ass apart at the ACC media days 3 years ago, you know what I'm talking about. That stuff don't fly with me, man. That don't fly with me at all. Good morning, Big O. How are you doing? Looking forward to another amazing show. Thank you, sir. Miguelito Garcia says, what you suggest for UM's head coach? I don't suggest anything. They're not doing anything. They're gonna keep him around. Michael Dugan's, the great Michael Dugan's in the house here at Craig Zinn's Acura Pembroke Pines. Now, they're not going to do anything, my brother. They're going to bring him back. They don't have the money to get rid of him. And I already told you what I think is going to happen. The U's dead. U's dead. It's over. There's no more great football ever going to be played here. Okay? That's all. It's pretty simple. Why would you expect it? How many more years of this do you need to see? Please explain to me. Now, you can sit there if you want, and you can be hopeful and all this crap, but I don't expect anything under this guy at all. I think the program's dead under Manny Diaz. Players all over the country are seeing it. You're going to have people transfer out of this. The transfer portal, let me tell you something. The transfer portal this year for the U, outboard, okay, is going to look like the conga line for Wilt Chamberlain and all the women he banged. Okay? It's going to be longer than the conga line that the women that Wilt Chamberlain banged. All right? And players across the country, they're going to, I'm not going there. Why the hell would you go there? And this whole thing about, well, no, we're bringing the recruits in. They're going to change the culture. Really? I've been hearing that every year, bro. Well, Randy Shannon was going to bring in the Northwestern class, and that was going to change it all. And Al Golden, yeah, he's the up-and-coming and the next guy, and that was going to change. And then Mark Rick was going to come back, and he's the former University of Miami player and offensive coach. Oh, no, quarterbacks coach. He wasn't even offensive coordinator when he was here. And he was going to be the guy that was going to turn the program around, and that didn't happen. And now we got Manny Diaz, and now that's going to – how many more cell jobs are you going to give me? And how much more incompetence are you going to show me to tell me that this is going to change? I mean, you got to be stupid at this point to believe that things are going to change. Seriously. You know when you believe that they're going to change? When they actually did change. And it's probably going to take like a 1983-like moment. That the program's nothing, and it's been nothing for a while, and then all of a sudden some guy comes in that just lights it up. But it ain't going to be Manny. I'm sorry. I have no hope for that guy whatsoever. None. What can I tell you? You know, it's a situation where it is absolutely disturbing, to be honest with you. We are out here at Craig Zinn's, Acura of Pembroke Pines, folks, and let me tell you, we got some great deals going on right now. We're at the end of the month. And 2019 models, we still have a few ILX out here, $189 a month. 2020 models, we start off with the TLX, $209 a month, RDX $309, and MDX $339, only $29.99 due at signing, plus tax tag and registration, folks. And you got to check out the fleet of certified pre-owned vehicles. Let me tell you something. They are amazing. I'm looking at them right now. They look like they're brand new. All those cars right there, they look like they're freaking brand new. Don't these are all the certified pre-owned vehicles.
Those are not new.
Yeah, those are not new.
That's incredible.
Those are not new. They are certified pre-owned. And that's why you can come out here and get them, because they are in amazing shape, folks. They got used cars, too. Because of the record car sales, they've got all kinds, man. I'm telling you. Tell them that Big O sent you, Larry Schlossberg. Let me tell you, Pat Nasto, Tony Stampone, just some great people out here. You just saw Michael Dugans. Just an amazing sales staff. They will take care of you. If you own an Acura, lease it, come on out and see Jordan Ferber. They will take care of you at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
Our execution on offense.
This is the Big O Show.
We are back here. As you can see, right under here, see Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, 15601 Pines Boulevard. We thank you for watching. We thank you for listening. And
I can't believe those are used cars, man.
I know.
They
right?
literally, they look brand new, man.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know. It's pretty cool. But that's how it is, man. That's why I tell folks for 9 years now, the finest Acura dealership is right here, man. Great people, amazing service. You're gonna love it. I'm right here in my RDX here, my wife's RDX. Obviously, I came in today to today's show with that. Let's see. Live Strong says, "Oh, you're the GOAT of Miami radio. What are your thoughts on the new FSU head coach? Go Noles." Well, we'll see, my brother. I mean, who knows? Who knows? What can I tell you? I thought maybe the Willie Taggart move would be good for you guys, and that didn't work out. So, you know, what can I tell you? I'm the last guy maybe to ask about that.
You know, it was another play.
Hey, I like the Manny Diaz hire too. That didn't work out either.
We all did.
I know.
Everybody.
Okay, but I'm talking
about. There was nobody that was unhappy with that.
Okay, but
nobody.
At least I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
At least I'll point out when I'm wrong.
Everybody.
I'll happily point out when I'm wrong. And boy, I was wrong about Manny.
You know, it was a play
that
there was another typifying example of the ridiculousness, like the penalty on the punt.
But did you see that? How they were all celebrating the punt?
Bandy.
The penalty?
Bandy should have intercept the ball, and he's jawing to the guy in his face.
Right.
Dude, you should have picked six, man.
And you're losing.
Yes.
I never understand these guys. Yeah, but you know the Bandy thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because he's also like, I'm out of here. I don't care about this place. And so he's also acting like he doesn't give a rat's ass, even if they get penalized or whatever. But you're talking. That's this you. This you talks garbage when they're losing. This you
is dancing on the sideline when they're getting their butt kicked by FIU.
Is dancing on the sidelines like FIU, right? And this you celebrates stupid plays and penalties. So let me ask you.
Football IQ is zero.
About the you. How in the hell do you feel anything about this team? How do you, if they have no IQ, how do you feel good about this? This is the kind of players they're recruiting. This is the kind of players they're coaching. This is the kind of attitude they're coaching. You want your players celebrating when they're losing and dancing. You want them jawing when they're down. You want them all celebrating penalties and bad plays. I mean, I'm watching that kid go to the sidelines, and they're all high-fiving him and all that, and it's like, do you morons realize that was a terrible play? That was a 15-yard penalty. You're helping Louisiana Tech beat your ass, and they're celebrating this. Like that was positive. If I was a coach on that sideline, I would lose my mind when I would see that. I would say, yo, what the hell is wrong? That was a penalty. I want all your asses running gassers on the sidelines right now. I'd have them running up and down the sidelines right in the middle of the damn game for doing stupid-ass things like that. What are you celebrating, bro? You're the University of Miami football team. You got nothing to celebrate. The problem is these freaking kids, they come in and they put on that helmet and they think that they're Gino Torretta and Warren Sapp and Benny Blades and Brian Blades and all these guys that won championships and actually accomplished something. They think they've accomplished all of that. And they think they're the badass that is Calais Campbell. And they think they're the badass that is Ray Lewis, and they haven't done anything that's badass. Explain this to me. Where the hell do you get off thinking that this program is headed in the right direction? If I'm Blake James and I'm watching that kind of behavior, how do you not pull your head coach aside and say, what the hell is this? Man, I'm paying you a lot of money, and I'm paying your assistant coaches a lot of money, and we're expecting a lot more than your kids acting like clowns when they can't represent this university the right way on the football field.
I'm glad you said that. Jankovic.
Yeah.
Could you see Jankovic dealing with this?
No, see, it doesn't get to Yankovic because Jimmy Johnson would not allow that.
Exactly.
Schnellenberger's not going to allow you to act like a horse's ass.
What?
And you're losing. Schnellenberger's not going to let you celebrate a penalty.
You're probably not on the team.
No.
He takes your uniform at the end of the game. You're done.
Jimmy's not celebrating that you took some guy's head off before he caught the punt and cost him 15 yards. There's no way you're celebrating in front of Jimmy Johnson with that crap. Let's see. One guy, Marcus says, do you feel Joe Rose is soft on Manny during interviews? He has no choice, dude. You work for the flagship, that's what happens. Keep listening to the flagship and you'll listen to what? You listen to soft radio. That's just the way it is, my man. Trust me, I worked in it. And I had to fight it all the time. Raul says, good morning, Big O. In my opinion, if Manny Diaz needs to motivate the players with turnover chains and touchdown chains, the program has failed. I got one better for you, Raul. This freaking program should not be allowed to run through smoke. There should be no turnover chains. There should be no touchdown rings. All that stuff needs to be put away. Okay? This is a clown show. And you become a bigger clown show by having all of those things when you're not worthy of it. Okay? Ed Reed deserves to run through that smoke. Ken Dorsey deserves to run through that smoke. Mario Cristobal deserves to run through that smoke. Tremaine Mack deserves to run through that smoke. Not one player in the last 15 years should run through that smoke because they have not accomplished anything as a team, as a program. They are pathetic and they have been embarrassing. Eliminate the rings, eliminate the stupid ass chain, and eliminate the smoke. When they become respectable again, then you can run through that the way the greats used to do it. The way when the program used to be great and they can do it. Darren Crine can run through that smoke. Do you understand that? These guys cannot. None of these guys are worthy of doing any of that garbage. That's the kind of stuff that you use to reward when you're actually respectable. Because it looks so asinine that you get a turnover and you're down by 24 points, or you're a losing program and you're taking out the turnover chain. I am embarrassed watching them take out that crap now. I don't know about you guys. It was fun at the beginning when it kind of like meant something a little bit because the defense was doing something. But in hindsight and looking at it all, this program doesn't deserve any of that garbage. You got to put that away, man. You got to tell the players, hey, you guys want to run through the smoke? Play like it. Smoke these fools on the other side of the field. and then maybe we can bring back the smoke in a year or two. But we're not going to have you running out on the smoke and you're losing to Georgia Tech. Let's run out through the smoke and let's lose to FIU. Let's bring out the turnover chain and let's lose to La Tech. Come on, man.
I will say this. Our best scoring chance was that interception with the attempted lateral.
Yeah.
That was our best scoring chance.
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, do me a favor, my brother. You have sent in 3 texts already on the thing. I appreciate you watching, but you might want to hold off on the texts already at this point because you are in a terrible role, my man. Would a spread offense help at all? I've just been talking for an hour now that Manny Diaz is your problem. It doesn't matter what offense you have, brother. I saw the defense fail. The kicking game sucks. The team sucks. The team doesn't respond. Guy can't figure out anything. Manny Diaz can't figure out the quarterback. I don't care about Dan Enos. Dan Enos means nothing to me. That's the problem here at the University of Miami and for some of you UM fans. You keep pointing at all these other things, and the thing that's wrong is the head coach. Oh, and here's one more thing. The head coach will now go in to the season. The head coach will now go into the season on the hot seat. All right, so now the head coach is going to go into the season on a hot seat. How's he going to find a good offensive coordinator? Huh? Think about that. Because, again, we're all going to sit here and going to go, oh, let's go find a great offensive coordinator. What great offensive coordinator is going to come here? To work with what? With Tua? With Herbert? With Jalen Rowe? With Jalen Hurts? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. Trevor Lawrence? I must have missed this incredible offense that they have here. I must have missed all the success that they've been having here the last couple of years. That's the other thing you better start thinking of. It's the problem is Diaz. Now, it's a monster problem. He has no credibility in college football. It's not like he's a proven head coach. He's a failure right now as a head coach. So you're an offensive coordinator. You're joining a failed program for 15 years that has accomplished nothing. You're joining a coach that won 6 games and lost 4 brutal games this year, is on the hot seat. Let me ask you, you do the math now. Do you think that the resume of that offensive coordinator is going to be a stellar one? Or do you think you're going to get a guy that's really questionable, maybe even a newbie, maybe barely a new offensive coordinator, or you're going to have to call somebody up to be a new offensive coordinator? What do you think is going to happen? Because it's not like you're going to go buy the best offensive coordinator in college football and pay him more than what you're paying Manny. Because that's probably what it's going to take, that kind of salary. So think about that. And I don't know what the buyout is with Enos. I don't know how much they have to pay Enos now. I'm not even sure about that. But how much does that hurt you for your next coach, money-wise? It's not as simple as you guys make it out to be. Oh, no, let's just go get another offensive coordinator. He'll work the spread, and then all answers are solved. You have nothing to sell that offensive coordinator. You realize that, right? There is nothing, zero, that you can sell this offensive coordinator. That's disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. That puts you right there in a position like you're lost. So how are you going to get this staff to the point so you can be respectable again? I just don't know how you can do it. I really don't. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. 11:05. Manny Navarro, by the way, from The Athletic, is going to join us. He normally joins us every Tuesday, and he did this Tuesday. But after the debacle yesterday, I wanted to get Manny on to talk about this because he was there yesterday. He witnessed that debacle. Maybe he can also enlighten us on some of the things that we want to talk about here with Manny. And I've got something else that I want to share with you guys also with Manny, after Manny, that I want to talk about with the U. And I think it's really, really, really important overall. So we'll get to that also here on the program. If you want to get in, it's really simple. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. We do want to remind you that the show is proudly brought to you by Choice Mortgage Bank and the man, Michael Codsey, because nobody works harder in the mortgage business than Michael. I'm telling you, here's the cell number, 561-441-2730. When somebody gives you their personal cell number, it's because Michael knows he brings it. Unlike Manny Diaz, Michael brings it. Unlike Manny Diaz, he's been winning for a long time. A AAA plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. In fact, Manny Diaz couldn't even get a D in school. He'd be getting an F for his effort as the head coach of the University of Miami. But if you want great coaching, if you want great leadership, if you want to win by, let's say, consolidating those bills, paying less a month, or lowering that payment every month, lowering that premium, call Michael Codsey right now. 561-441-2730. State rates under 3.5%. Call my guy, Michael Codsey, proud sponsor of ours now for a long time, nearly 10 years now. 561-441-2730. All righty, we are back. We promised you we're going to talk to Manny Navarro. I guess we'll call it a second edition of the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report, and it's obviously not a good one. You can follow my man Manny on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work, of course, at The Athletic. Let's bring him aboard. Manny, good morning, my man. How you hanging in there, brother?
Woo, man, it's been a rough 24 hours. I thought Christmas was great. Then I got on a plane for Dallas. I make the 3-hour drive from Dallas to Shreveport, get there at kickoff, about 2 hours before kickoff, and then watch one of the worst football games I think I've seen Miami play in a long time. It's been a wacky 24 hours, man. You know, to make that transition from Christmas to this chaos that is the football team.
You know, Manny, leading up to the game, I found it asinine that you couldn't name a quarterback, that you've gone through an entire season and you don't know who your best quarterback is. And then, you know, the news comes out that Enos is going to be, let go. It just, and to me, I find it too simplistic to say, well, Enos is the problem. This team didn't respond to Manny Diaz, not just Enos. It's a thing that we saw. It's something that happened all year long. And these problems with this team, if people think it's going to be solved just by an offensive coordinator, I think they're sorely mistaken here.
It's funny. I think one of the last conversations you and I had, I brought up the fact that my fear was that Manny Diaz is sort of looked at as a guy who was part of the previous regime, and so he's not respected by the guys on that offensive side, probably the way that he deserves to be, because he came from, you know, when you're on a team and you go through a coaching change, you know, you have to sort of reset your standards and your expectations for the new head coach, right? When the new guy comes in, everybody kind of buckles up and says, "Oh, you know, there's a new guy here. We gotta sort of earn our spot. We gotta show him that we really deserve to be here." Yada yada yada. Well, Manny Diaz was with more grit at the end of last year's debacle, and he was a part of all that. And yes, he was the guy in charge of the defense, and yes, he was the guy who built a good defense at Miami. But if you're still a player on that team, you still look at him as, well, he's one of Mark's guys, you know? So that was my fear, was will these offensive players ever respect Manny Diaz the way that they should? And I don't think that ever happened this year. I don't think Manny Diaz he didn't recruit any of those guys, I don't think any of those guys ever looked at him as, well, he's really the head coach. We got to buckle down and show up for him. And that's what you saw yesterday. You saw an offense that sort of just was not wanting to play. And I was on the field for the last 5 minutes of the game. They let us come on the field for the last 5 minutes of the game. So I immediately went down there and said, I got to see what's happening on the sideline. And, as soon as it ended, you see the defensive players walking off the field, embarrassed, upset, there's tears, there's frustration. Those guys played their butts off because they wanted to win. The offensive guys ran off the field, and it just felt disjointed, like it was two separate football teams that I saw walking off the field. And that's what I think we had. That's what happened this season. You had two different football teams. You had a defense that was still playing for Manny Diaz, and you had an offense that never played for Manny Diaz and never bought into whatever it was that him and Danny Enos were selling. And when you have a quarterback issue where you have a kid in Jaron Williams who I think chooses when he wants to study and put effort in, and doesn't get along with the offensive coordinator, you have performances like this one. And so really where we've gone in 1 year since the Pinstripe Bowl loss, since I left New York and Mark Richt decided exactly, I think it was a year ago, this either today or tomorrow, it was exactly a year ago, where he decided he was stepping away. This program has just gone completely neutral for 1 year. And Manny Diaz, outside of the recruiting he's done to sign 18 new kids, you can't say that there's been any progress because the offense has gotten no better, and the defense has been pretty much the same thing as what it was.
So let me ask you, how can that happen if there's some leadership, with Quarterman and those kind of guys? How come they can't reach the offense and get guys to play hard all together? That's the part I don't understand.
Well, here's the problem. We grew up in a different era, right? I think we grew up in the era where you had great Miami Hurricane leaders between Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Right, we saw all of those guys come to the University of Miami, and we saw them excel, and we saw them push their teammates to greatness because those guys were natural leaders. This era with millennials is just, and I hate to do that because I don't want to be the old guy saying these damn millennials. But I just think we live in a different era, and I don't know if it's because these kids are being raised in a different situation in homes where things aren't being taught the way that they should, whether they're playing for high school teams, where things are being taught differently. But it's about individualism now. It's about standing out as an individual. It's about, at least at the high school level when they're playing. I mean, these kids transfer schools 2 and 3 times in high school. And it's about, which coach is going to play me the way that I want to play? And so to me, that's where all of this permeates, this mentality of the me. And then, Manny Diaz creates this turnover chain, the touchdown rings, and he's obviously trying to placate to the kids so that he gives them something positive to be excited about. I think the issue is it's very hard for these guys to reach some of these kids and get them to perform the way that they want them to perform. That's just the reality of it. Some coaches in college football know the magic touch. That's why Dabo Sweeney and Urban Meyer and those guys, besides the fact that they recruit great athletes, it's just a psychology. They know what to do. I don't know that Manny Diaz does. That's what happens when you hire a guy who's never been a head coach, right? I mean, there's something to experience. There's something to guys that have been in winning programs and know ways to do it. Jimmy Johnson was great at it. He knew how to motivate guys. He knew the psychological side of it. I don't know that Manny Diaz does. And, what Miami has done now for their last 5 or 6 coaching hires, besides Mark Richt, is hire guys who are former coordinators who have never been head coaches and, try to ride this wave of, well, they were really good as coordinators, so let's assume that they're going to be really good head coaches. Because that's what most college programs do, right? They don't want to spend big money, top dollar on an experienced coach. So, hey, you know what? We're gonna hire a guy who did a good job with his unit. And sometimes it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I again, could Manny Diaz be a good head coach at Miami? One day, maybe. But as we've talked about many times on your show, this job is for a Jedi Master. It's not for a rookie.
A Padawan. A Padawan.
Yeah. It's just not. It's just the hurdles that you face. Number one, recruiting in South Florida. Okay, where everybody in the country comes here now. There are no undiscovered stars in South Florida anymore. I mean, yes, they pulled Gregory Rousseau out of the hat because he was at Champagnat High School. Everybody wishes they had Greg Rousseau now. But in this backyard, these kids, I mean, they didn't grow up with Miami winning. So what you're seeing now is a lot of them are like, dude, I don't want to play there. Look at that stadium. Look at how the fans boo them. They're 6-6 everywhere. Why the hell would I want to go play there when I win state championships left and right at my high school?
Right.
So to me, that's the number one issue. And you're right. It may never get fixed in the Manny Diaz. And it's a shame because I think Manny's heart is in the right place. He really wants to do well.
There's no doubt.
But it's just, it is what it is.
Well, hey, yesterday, my brother, this kid runs downfield on special teams, knocks this kid out before the ball gets there. He comes to the sidelines. They're all celebrating. And it's like, dude, that's a 15-yard penalty. That was a bad play. And players are celebrating that. And I'm like, I mean, Jimmy Johnson would have lost his mind at that moment, or Schnellenberger, if they see their players celebrating a stupid play. Trajan Bandy. It's like you're bragging and all that. Dude, you're losing. Shut the hell up. It's just that's the other thing that I saw yesterday. When you're celebrating that bad play on special teams, you got problems on the sidelines, bro. Your kids are not focused in the right way.
Right. And yes, again, that's to me where it comes to the mentality of today's kids and what it is they celebrate. It's almost as if
but that won't happen under Saban, dude. There is no way you commit that stupid penalty and the guys at Bama are all high-fiving right there by Saban, and there's no way that happens in Alabama.
No, or Clemson or any of these other places. And it's because those coaches, from the moment they stepped in through the door, did not celebrate individualism and didn't let that become an accepted norm. Let's think about this. Manny Diaz, that was his thing. He created the turnover chain. What is the turnover chain? It is the ultimate celebration of individualism.
Yeah.
Because you get to put on the chain. You get to be the guy everybody has the spotlight on. And that was Manny Diaz's approach as a defensive coordinator. And it worked because his defense was good. But what happens when your team sucks? I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so, to me, it's an approach deal. Manny brought that from day one. He celebrated that individualism, and it worked because they were a good defense. But when you're a bad team and you celebrate individualism, you have what you saw yesterday. And for all of us old school cats who saw Miami do things a different way for a long time, it's upsetting because you're thinking to yourself, man, this program, it was so great. What happened to it? I think we need to sort of let that go and sort of look at the last 15, 16 years and say this is what the reality is.
Yeah.
It's no longer a great program.
No, it's not. It's a terrible program. It's a mediocre program as it is. And I got to tell you something, Manny. Diaz should eliminate the smoke, the rings, and the chain. And you could bring it back when you deserve it, because you look like a clown show. You're a 6-7 team running through the smoke. That doesn't make any sense, dude. You're bringing out a turnover chain while you're losing. You touchdown rings and you're losing. To me, none of that makes any sense. And forget you and me. The Canes that establish all those championships and the winning and all that, those guys must be disgusted by watching all of that garbage when none of those cats have accomplished anything and they're all living off of everything from the past.
I would love it if I could get Michael Irvin to just speak the truth, but he's just not going to do it. I mean, his son plays on the team. I was sitting there yesterday in the press box, and the athletic director's press box was literally right next to the to the main media press box, and I was sitting on the furthest seat, and I could see Michael Irvin sitting right next to Blake James in the press box watching this game, and he was miserable. I mean, literally every time something would happen, I would turn to my left and say, okay, what's Mike going to do now? When Miami tried that deep pass to KJ Osborne in the second half, where they finally took a deep shot, Irvin started going nuts. You could just hear him as soon as the ball was released. Yeah, it's going to finally happen. And then it falls incomplete, and you're just like, like again, this is this misery. And those old school guys, man, I mean, this is so tough for them to swallow. But you got to remember, this has been 16 years of this now.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, you know, I saw him break down and cry. Literally, he was breaking down and crying after scoring. I saw him in the hallway underneath the stadium, and he's sitting there. And then the irony is, 20, 30 feet away, all of these kids coming out of the Miami locker room, none of them are crying. They're there with their family. It's like everything's fine. It's almost as if the old school guys have so much higher expectations for what this program should be, when in reality, it just hasn't been that in so long. And that's what I think we have to start doing as fans and as reporters is stop comparing it to the past, because it may never get there again.
Yeah,
Probably will never get there again.
Yeah, I don't think it ever is going to get there again, especially under Manny Diaz. I don't have any hope. And here's the other thing. You know, everybody says, well, you got to run a spread and this and that, and let's go get another OC. Okay, so Manny will come back next year guaranteed on a hot seat, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. He's going to be on a hot seat, because if he has another season like this, they're not going to bring him back for a third for sure. So what quality coach do you get at this point when you have no quarterback to sell, no offense to sell, no team to sell, no success to sell? How in the hell do you get a really good coach to come here to straighten out your offense?
Honestly, I think there was only one guy who is made for this job right now, who may or may not ever come back to get it, and that's Mario Cristobal. And we've discussed him in the past, and that's because he is a Hurricane through and through, and he was part of the championship generation. But he's making a lot of money at Oregon, and he's enjoying his job at Oregon.
Resources.
Well, and I would say the other aspect is, there are certain people at Miami that aren't happy with Mario that he took off. But I think, from what I've heard, that opinion's obviously changing, because they're seeing what he's doing at Oregon now.
Yeah.
Where, Willie Taggart completely
you know what?
He's
Let me tell you something. Those people at the U that are mad at him, if they still are, those are bad human beings, because none of us should ever get mad at anybody that is trying to better themselves. And whether they wanted to admit it or not, that's what Mario Cristobal did leaving Alabama. He was bettering himself as a professional. And look where he's at now. He's the head coach of Oregon. He won the Pac-12, right? Didn't he win the Pac-12?
Yep.
Yeah. So then we're talking about a guy that's successful, and he did the right things for Mario Cristobal. And if I'm him, there is no way in the world you leave Oregon and Nike money. And let me tell you, not the toughest conference in the world. And you could probably dominate by having success in Oregon and recruiting out in the West. There is no way you leave Oregon for the University of Miami right now. I never thought I would say that, but right now, it makes no sense to leave Oregon if you're Mario.
And here's something Miami fans kind of have to deal with and accept. The last time this job was open, which was a year ago, the athletic director jumped at Manny. Why? Well, because I think in large part, even though he says every coach in the country would be interested in being the head coach at Miami, the reality is that's not true. Because when Mark Richt was the coach, he became the coach, Miami went through, I think, three interviews. One of them was with Tan Mullen, who nehave wanted the job. He was basically using it to get himself a raise at Mississippi State. It was Butch Davis, who was just dying to get back into coaching and would have loved to be here at Miami. And, who was the third guy? I can't even remember at this point. But basically there were three guys, and that was it. And there wasn't a lot of people banging on the door to take this job over, because like I told you, this job is a lot harder than people think it is. You think, you got the recruiting in Miami's backyard. Dude, you've got to change. First, you got to deal with the high expectations, because everybody here wants nothing but national championships. And two, you got to sort of change the culture in terms of recruiting your own backyard, and that's not easy to do. It's not easy to come in here into some of these neighborhoods and convince these kids to come to Miami now. And I know that sounds just insane, but it's the truth. And so there's not a lot of people who are banging on the door to take over this mess. There just isn't.
What Blake James came out with his statement and basically backing up Manny.
Right.
What can Blake do to make this better? Is there anything that he can do to change the direction of this program?
Well, I mean, what can he do? Obviously, you would say make the head coaching change and bring in a guy like Mario Cristobal and spend the money and do what you have to do to bring in a guy who can really flip this thing around from the ground up. But if you're going to stick with Manny Diaz, then you have to spend big dollars on an offensive coordinator and position coaches, not just go out and get a bunch of assistant coaches you've never heard of. It has to be established guys, who, as I mentioned, are Jedi Masters, guys who are not thin on experience and are thick on having done it and been successful. Not, hey, they were pretty good at Toledo. No, these guys have to have been successful in the SEC, in the ACC, in the Big 10, 12, wherever. And spend the top dollar to bring in top-level assistant coaches who can recruit really, really well and get the players on the team to elevate their level of play and not just sort of roll their eyes at whatever it is that they're saying. And to stop losing these games that they shouldn't lose, man. That's the number one thing. The way you lose respect in college football nowadays is by losing games like yesterday, 14-0 to Louisiana Tech, and losing to FIU, and losing to Duke. Like, that's the number one thing that they've got to stop doing, because you lose the locker room and you lose the recruits. That's what costs you. Everybody can understand it when you lose to a Florida or you lose to an Ohio State or a Texas or whoever is another Power 5 team, right? Because those teams are expected to be good. But when you're losing to non-Power 5 teams and you're showing up and putting up, just terrible performances, it's hard to get the respect of your own players in the locker room, and it's hard to, get the respect of the recruits. And so that's the number one thing that's got to change.
Manny Navarro from The Athletic joining us in our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report number 2 of the week, by the way. Your tweet yesterday, Tate Martell has taken, I think it was 5 snaps, and he's running for his life on 4 of them or something like that it was. Let me ask you something. What the hell convinced them in practice that this guy was going to be ready? Because he did not look like he could be a quarterback at this level, dude. I mean, he looked really, really bad and completely out of place.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's funny because that whole moment, hey, we've got to get Tate in the game and give him a chance to play quarterback finally in the last game of the season, it almost was like Manny Diaz, to me, waving the white flag to the fan base and sort of placating the fan base and saying, hey, look, this is the guy you guys have wanted all year long. I'm going to throw him out there so you can see what he really is. And, listen, we in the media, we've told you guys every day in practice, this guy was throwing, it looked like a wounded duck in practice every single time we saw him throw it. But the fan base, for whatever reason, because Tate Martell was a winner in high school and because he was, recruited to Ohio State by Urban Meyer and yada, 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 everybody swore, hey, look, give the guy a chance. He's going to – and I think yesterday in those 6 snaps, we saw why Tate Martell is the third-string quarterback and really not even, to me, a quarterback at this level because, first of all, he can't see over the line of scrimmage, right? I mean, he's short. So he's 5'10", can't even see really down the field. Second, his natural instinct and what he was at the high school level was a runner. He's a guy who takes a snap, fakes a handoff, or either hands the ball off and runs. That's what he did. That's what Urban Meyer recruited him for. He's just not the quarterback to run this kind of an offense. Could he be successful elsewhere? Sure. I just don't think it's at a Power 5 school. But the bottom line is that's what that was. And I think Manny Diaz did it on purpose. I think he gave him a series, not only to a chance to get on the field, because I'm sure that kid has been a headache behind the scenes, wanting to play, yada yada yada. But I think he did it in large part to tell the fan base, here's your hope. Here's the guy you think is better, and now maybe you'll see why it is that don't play him.
Manny, and we're talking with Manny Navarro, of course, from The Athletic. When they let go of Dan Enos now, what do you know, and what do we know about the buyout? How much of that do they have to pay? How much of that is going to hurt them in trying to get another coach? Will it hurt them, or will they open up the checkbook and say, no, we got to go out and get the best guy possible? How are they going to handle this? What do you foresee there?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, he signed, I think it was a 2-year deal, $1.5 million for each season here at Miami. So he still has a year left on his contract. But if he gets a job elsewhere, I don't know if whatever school. What I've heard over and over again is he could be headed to a school that's still playing, which is why this hasn't happened yet. But my understanding is, yes, once the financials and everything are worked out, depending on, what his buyout is here, or, whether or not Miami has to pay a percentage of it, all of that. Once the financials are handled with, I mean, they're gonna go out and look for another coordinator. And the 3 names that I put out there yesterday, and others have put out there as well, are guys who run, are experienced coaches who run the spread offense in the terms of 4 wide and, up-tempo style, which is what I think the fan base wants to see. They want to see more of an up-tempo style, more 4 receivers, spread the field out, throw the ball all over the field type thing. But, again, we're very, very early in the stages, and you got to remember one thing. Whatever offensive coordinator takes this job, he's got to know that Manny is under a tremendous amount of pressure to win and may not be here a year from now based off of what happened this year. So, and again, we've discussed this on the show before too. What kind of coaching tree, what kind of coaching connections does Manny Diaz have?
Oof.
When you hire a rookie head coach, they don't really have great connections around the college football, other than having worked for guys who hired him. They don't necessarily have, the pedigree where all of a sudden some great offensive coordinators say, yeah, I want to go work with Manny Diaz at Miami. That's why Dan Enos was chosen. He was a quarterbacks coach at Alabama, a former head coach, a guy who was still sort of repairing his image, as a football coach after some of the struggles he had in Arkansas. So to me, again, what kind of coach can you attract here? What kind of offensive coordinator could you attract here? To me, it's somebody similar to Dan Enos, somebody who's not a high profile, not a big name.
I would imagine that the news with the DB is going to happen today or tomorrow, right? We'll probably hear pretty soon about Bandy saying that he's gone, or is there any chance that he changes his mind?
Watching him walk off the field yesterday, the body language, he was kind of saying goodbye to guys. So I kind of think it's done. But again, Mike Rumpf told us, and I believe Mike Rumpf, be very honest guy, he was going to have one final conversation with Bandy about all that. And they're very close. And I think their futures are very much tied together in a lot of ways. We'll see if Rumpf was one guy who I think even last year people thought, well, he might be on the way out. But I think after they have a conversation, whether it be today or tomorrow, we'll probably get some clarity on that.
All right, Manny, what are you working on The Athletic so Canes fans can check you out, my brother?
Well, obviously there's a lot of interest in the offensive coordinator job that's going to be opening up soon, and what changes Manny's going to be involved in. So I'll be looking at that and addressing that here in the days and weeks ahead. And of course, there's still recruiting. There's still some holes to be filled. Will Miami look at some grad transfers at quarterback? We'll find out. We'll see what the new offensive coordinator wants to do. And obviously, like I said, there could be other staff changes. When you get rid of an offensive coordinator or when you part ways with one, you have a situation where the assistant coaches are obviously on on the hot seat too, even if they did a good job. So we'll find out here who they get rid of and what other assistants end up leaving. So there's a lot to monitor here in the in the weeks and months ahead before the next signing day for sure.
So what was your highlight in Shreveport?
Oh God, was there a highlight in Shreveport? I think I might have been shut out as well.
Damn, dude, that is rough. Are you back already?
No. I'm still in my hotel room here. I got to drive back to Dallas. I got an 8:00 flight home out of Dallas, and then I got to drive to Orlando and Jacksonville. They got the Under Armour game coming up on the 2nd, so I'm going to try to hit some of the media availability for the high school Under Armour game. I got 4 players playing that in Orlando, and then I gotta fill in and cover the Jaguars last game on Sunday. I'm helping out.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
I got a busy weekend ahead, bro. That's why I took Christmas and the last few days off.
So you're going to be in Jacksonville?
I will be in first Orlando and then Jacksonville over the weekend. Yeah.
Okay. Did the Athletic pay you a lot of money because you're ending up in Shreveport and Jacksonville? That's dude. I mean, seriously, I don't even think we treat our prisoners of war that badly. Come on, bro. Terrorists.
I know.
When we capture
Amen.
terrorists in this country, we don't send them to Shreveport and Jacksonville, bro. Come on. That is crazy.
I think it's just listen. They're paying for it. This is not coming out of my pocket. That's for sure.
Actually, if you're in Shreveport and Jacksonville, you're paying for it in many ways. All right? Just let's be honest there. All right, Manny, we've had enough fun with that. All right, you be good, my brother. Be safe. And thank you for taking some time here on short notice after this debacle last night. Thank you. I know the listeners appreciate it.
No problem, brother. And I'll be in contact with you if I hear anything, all right?
You got it, baby. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. There you go. The great Manny Navarro. We had to get Manny on today. I mean, I had to bring him on and talk about this mess because it's gross. It really is. It's just gross. I'm like I told you guys earlier, I'm at a point now where I think it's over. I just I have really no hope anymore for the University of Miami football program. I don't. I just have no hope. They're going to have to do it for me to. It's 15 years, man. How long? How long are you going to keep telling me? I mean, okay, so you like this woman, right? You think she likes you. And you've been hitting on her for 15 years. And for 15 years, she keeps telling you, yeah, next week we'll go out. Yeah, next week you'll go out. So how long are you going to build yourself up? When are you going to finally get some action? And that's the same thing as the University of Miami football program. It's 15 years of telling you, no, Randy's the guy. No, Al Golden's the guy. No, Mark Rick's the guy. No, we've got him now. It's Manny Diaz. How many more? Right? It's almost like we're waiting for the next Schnellenberger, because that's kind of what it is. Now, listen, you've sucked. You've been an embarrassment now for 15 years, 15 plus years. You're basically back to where you were in 1983. You kind of need that guy that comes back to revitalize the entire program. And will that ever happen again? Because it's not even close to being guaranteed. And if these kids keep coming here with the attitude like they're the ones that won the 5 titles, it's over, man. I mean, yesterday, I lost my mind when I saw them celebrating that penalty. I was like, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for me. It was like, okay, well then I know there's no hope for this program. I am watching football players celebrate a stupid play. What? I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I can't imagine Flores and Dolphin players celebrating, high-fiving each other because you knocked the crap out of a guy that you didn't allow him to catch the ball on special teams. I can't imagine that Eric Spoelstra would be happy with a stupid play like that and you're celebrating it. or Shula or Schnellenberger or any respect, or Riley, right? Can you imagine Pat Riley, Jimmy Johnson, Don Shula, or Howard Schnellenberger, and they're coaching a team that is celebrating a penalty?
Bro, it would be go to the locker room, take your uniform off, and you make sure you're not there when we get done with this game.
Yeah, and you're not going on the plane.
Out of here.
Yeah, you're not on the team bus. You're not on the team plane. Think about that. Just sit and let that, as the Mad Dog would say, marinate in your mind. Just let it sit there. They were celebrating a penalty.
You know, it's a super great point.
I'd have you doing 800 push-ups at halftime inside the locker room or after the game for that.
Super great point by Manny. The turnover chain, and that's all about individualism.
Yes.
And yeah, it's kind of
that's where
festered
we are
and
now.
gone in the wrong. It's gone wrong. It's gone awry.
That's what we are in this society. It's all about me. It's about my brand and all that stuff. That's kind of what it is. That's what we are. And unfortunately, you happen to be playing the ultimate team sport. It's called football. And when there's 11 dudes on the field and one guy screws up, it messes up the entire play a lot of times. Because it's just a domino effect. And you look at that team and none of those dominoes are lined up. There is no rhyme or reason to anything that's going on with the Miami Hurricanes. It really is disgusting.
How could you have that poor of an offensive production and you had a month? Are you serious?
Well, that's because that's what they do.
You know how sorry that is? And this is against, look, Louisiana, I don't want to take anything away from them. They're obviously a well-coached team. Got to give Holtz credit. Those kids play hard.
You saw a stat? It was 10 players he's had in the NFL. Told you.
So, you know what?
Last few years, I told you,
That's
there's one or
very
two that comes in.
respectable from that size of a school.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
But 10 wins, 6 bowl games won in a row.
Yep.
The guy knows how to coach. His kids played hard, but there is absolutely no excuse for us not to score points. I'm sorry, against that team. None.
Nope. Well, there is. It's called bad coaching. That's all. That's really what it's all about. It's just that the Canes they have a terrible coach. There's no other way to phrase it. And he's going to have to do the most incredible turnaround in history of college football next year.
Bro, he better do a hardcore tour and get with every coach that he can to help him with his coaching, bro. He needs it.
Maybe Eddie Pereira can coach him up over at Pallet Rack City, where they have the hottest racks out there. Don't you love a great rack? I know you love a great rack. And listen, if you want to straighten out that business, that warehouse, it's looking like a mess, call Pallet Rack City, baby. They're your one-stop shop for all of those warehouse needs. They sell the pallet jacks. They sell the hand trucks, the dock boards. They have the largest used racking inventory in South Florida. And, folks, they buy and sell new and used pallet racking. And they also sell used forklifts and dock equipment. And they specialize in knockdowns and installations of your warehouse equipment. That's why you want to call Eddie right now at Pallet Rack City. Listen, I've been there several times, and it is impressive. He's got actually several warehouses in that area. And when you call Eddie, he's going to treat you right, man. 305-887-9212. You want to straighten out that warehouse. You want it looking good. You need a great rack. You call Pallet Rack City.
This is the Big O Show.
We are back.
This is the Big O Show.
We are back here at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, headed down for the final segment of the show. And we are headed over to Hialeah Park. Every Friday now, we will do 9-11 out here at Craig Zinn Acura. And then we will do 1 to 4 over at Hialeah Park. So we will give you 2 shows, morning and then a little afternoon action. So that's how the new schedule is now for 2020. That's kind of the way it's going to go, what we're doing here from here on out. So if you ever on Fridays want to hang out with us sometime in the mornings, like a couple of you have already come by today, come on out to Craig Zinn Acura of Pembroke Pines on Fridays. And in the mornings from 9 to 11, we're here like by 8 o'clock. Well, Bill is here like by 7. But I'm here like by 8 o'clock, 8:30, and we're here till about 11:30, and then we'll be out at Hialeah Park, and we'll be rocking till about 4 o'clock actually today on the program. So we'll have a lot of fun here on the show. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, it's 786-322 1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. Don't matter anyway, man. You can eliminate that. Let's I want to get into something else with the Canes. And one of the things that I want to get into, yesterday, KJ Osborne was addressing the media. And one of the things that he was talking about was what it kind of expects from his university, and it wasn't what he saw yesterday on the field.
It's very disappointing. It's not the Miami standard, but again, this is over now. The bridge of 2020. I feel like they're gonna get it right.
Now, listen, he's a good kid. I was impressed with him this year. He's not some kind of star or anything, but I love his heart. He played hard every single game. He's one of those guys that really gave it his all, and he's a transfer, so he was only here for this 1 year. When he says this is not the standard, unfortunately it is. And that's where KJ may not realize that, may not want to realize it, but that's kind of what we've been dealing with for 15 years now. This season is a mirror of what's been going on for 15 years. It's a bad program. It is a very low standard. They no longer play at the high standard of Ed Reed and Ken Dorsey and Steve Walsh and Gino Torretta and Warren Sapp and the late Jerome Brown and none of those guys. They don't play at that standard anymore. The standard they've been playing the last 15 years is what we saw this year and the last couple of years. That's what it is. That's who they are. And that's the part that's disturbing. And when you know how bad your program is, let's play the cut from Emmanuel Ocho. Okay? Emmanuel, by the way, is a former player of Manny Diaz. He's in the ESPN studio breaking down this game post-game.
The program seems to be in a state of disarray after Manny Diaz's first year on the job. Where do they go from here, Och?
This one's extremely tough. This loss, I think, Trev, is tougher than anyone they've endured all season. I love Manny Diaz. He was my coach my senior year at Texas, but it appears that this Miami team in a ton of turmoil for several reasons. Offensively, complete ineptitude. What's going on? This game embodied their season. Quarterback turmoil, quarterback controversy, and nobody getting it done. So to answer the question, Zoob, figure things out on offense. It's really an indictment, and I feel like it's the toughest because you got a guy in Diaz who came from Louisiana Tech. Their defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, came from Louisiana Tech. These kind of losses stink.
It's no doubt. And that's a guy that played for Diaz. And he's talking about it being the mess that it is. And everybody knew about their QB controversy. Everybody knew that they couldn't figure out who their QB is. And the fact that you, at the end of this season, in a bowl game, had to play all three quarterbacks, it's embarrassing. That means you did a terrible job as a coach in coaching staff in figuring out who's the best guy and then stick with him. You're not getting anywhere playing three quarterbacks. You're not getting anywhere pretty much playing two. And I know that, we've had a couple of instances in the history of college football. The Gators did it where they alternated two guys with Tebow and I'm forgetting the other kid's name now. A really good kid back then, at least. He was a nice kid. I forgot his name now. But anyway, those guys were alternating. In fact, actually, that kid, I think he recently got in trouble too. Now I'm forgetting his name, but actually, now that I'm saying it, I think he was in the news for something negative recently. But you're not going to get anywhere when you're playing those three quarterbacks and you have no idea. And that's an indictment on your coaching staff. You have to have some conviction. You have to be able to figure this out. You get paid to do this. You cannot have this kind of turmoil. And then the fact that your team is never prepared off of a break, that's another thing. And that's a standard, by the way. KJ saying that that's not the standard. Well, you set that standard all year long that your team is not prepared after every single break. It's crazy. You can have 2 weeks off or 4 weeks off, and the University of Miami team is not ready to play. How is that?
We joked about it. You know, he's going to have more time off. Oh, my God, he's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this, in the history of coaching? You give a coach extra time, and his team gets worse.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Chris Leak, thank you for all of you sending in Chris Leak. I appreciate that. And he did recently get in trouble for something. Myron says, awesome, 2 Friday special shows. No, it's now every Friday. Every Friday now. Every week now, because we were once a month at Toyota of Hollywood. We're there every Thursday now. We were once a month here for the last going on 10 years. Now we're here every Friday now, every morning. Every Friday morning you can catch us here. Every Friday afternoon at Hialeah Park. Those are permanent now, Thursday and Fridays. There you go. And if your business wants to be a proud sponsor of our program and bring us to you, we are ready to go and hit the road. Not on Thursdays and Fridays, of course. We're locked in now. Anyway, so yes, all of this. Now, here's the interesting part about all of this. Okay? I don't know if it's interesting. It's probably more twisted on my part. Okay? Do you realize...
How about sad?
No, this is twisted. Do you realize that yesterday they played in the Walk-Ons Independence Bowl and the Hurricane players played like a bunch of walk-ons? How about that? Yeah.
It's a hell of an analogy on your part.
I'm telling you, bro. Think about this. We were all complaining about Shreveport. God, they're going to Shreveport. But think about it. They actually went to the bowl game that is apropos. It's the game made for them. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. When you play like a bunch of walk-ons, that's where you should be. And Louisiana Tech walked all over your ass, too. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. The perfect bowl game for our Walk-Ons University of Miami football team. The team that celebrates penalties. Wow. I tell you, man.
I will say this in their defense.
Some
of the food in the Walk-Ons commercial
look pretty good, right?
I wish we had a Walk-Ons down here, okay?
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea. Well, you will be there soon.
Yes, we will definitely be. You know what?
You want to Walk-Ons?
You know something? It's funny you say that, but I think one of their commercials was about the fact that they're expanding, and they had little red dots all over the map.
Right.
We could probably catch one, man.
But put their Walk-Ons Mobile, Alabama. See if there's a Walk-Ons in Mobile, because I've never eaten at Walk-Ons. So we'll in honor of the Hurricanes, who are a bunch of Walk-Ons, we'll go eat at Walk-Ons, okay? And we'll give you a scouting report of Walk-Ons. But there's probably one in Mobile. That would make. I mean, if they're in Louisiana, why wouldn't they be right there in Alabama? That would make sense. See if there's a Walk-Ons there, and then we'll cruise by. There is a Walk-Ons in Fort Lauderdale. Really? Well, you better walk your ass over there in honor of the Canes. Everybody, in honor of the Canes today, who are a bunch of walk-ons. Go eat at walk-ons. And when they ask you, why are you eating at walk-ons? In honor of the Canes. They're a bunch of walk-ons. That's what it is. You know, most Canes players probably couldn't walk on to a lot of other universities. Not even in the Conference USA. Ian from Brooklyn says, also there's a walk-ons in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, yeah, in Mobile. Walk-ons Bistro. Wow, it's a bistro. Telling you.
It is at 3673 Airport Boulevard in Mobile, Alabama.
I know exactly where that's at. Exactly where it's at. That's close to the mall.
You know, we don't even have to wait. If there's one, I didn't know that there was one in Lauderdale.
Well, they're telling us right now. It says it just opened. Anderson family says it just opened. Ian in Fort Lauderdale also said there's one in Fort Lauderdale. And who else here? Ian says, I was thinking the same thing, while I was watching the game. They look sorry as hell. Yeah, they are. 786 Kane says, why we surprised they've been this way the whole year? Manny's got to go. Hey, man, Manny's not going anywhere. They're going to keep him because the AD has to keep him. It's his guy. But all of you out there that want to fire him, you're probably right. He probably deserves to get fired. I mean, let's just call it like we see it.
You know, do you remember when Randy got fired? University of South Florida came here and kicked our butt last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hesitate. Within hours, he was fired.
Yeah.
That performance yesterday, that deserves a firing.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. No doubt about that.
Now, because of the financial, we're kind of stuck, right? We got to ride this for one more year because of the financial.
Yes. Well, no. I mean, it's not that. I think they're going to give him a chance anyway because maybe this year's an aberration and maybe we're all wrong and he is a great coach and we'll find out and all that. But there has to be the AD. This was his selection without a coaching search. So he's going to have to hang in there for one more year. He can give him that one more year. After that, then all hell breaks loose if he doesn't show you anything. But to a certain extent, you are right, Bill. I don't think they have the kind of money that they want to, they would have to spend in order to get a buyout and then go buy another coach.
Yeah, we're not Florida State in generating $22 million in 48 hours.
And it's going to be hard for them also to lure another a great coach when you have fired a guy after 1 year. That will also be an indictment on you.
Well, think about it. We're going to have a hard time getting a good offensive coordinator, let alone a head coach, okay?
How about Anderson family? He sends me the address here, 6401 North Andrews Avenue next to Hooters. My man not only tells us that there's a walk-on here, he gives us the address, and it's next to a bunch of breastises. I mean, come on, admit it. That's why you go to Hooters. You go for the tight little shorts and the big chestises. That's it. That's why
Don't
you're
you
there.
mean Rack?
Yeah, yes. Another place where you could get a pallet, Rack City. Yes. That's why the guys go. Hooters. You're going for Hooters. It's exactly what you're going for. How about the Hooters Hotel charging $300 a night during draft week in Vegas? Holy crap. Shouldn't Blake James be on the hot seat as well? 420 Fuego, he is on the hot seat for next year. And if Manny Diaz fails, it could cost both of them their jobs. And I think that's the main reason why Blake is going to stick with him. Now, listen, I can't be a phony. I'm never going to be a phony here. I screwed up, too. I wanted Manny. I thought it was a good idea. So, I can't be I can't kill Blake James too much on it because I would have made the same mistake. I thought it meant all that. I thought it was all common sense. Miami guy, had success with the defense. They like him. All that stuff. It was the better side of the team. While Rick was here, it was defense that you could count on. And so you thought maybe the next step was Hell, we were talking the last couple of years, worried that they would lose Manny to another team. And people were like, you know what, you better hang on to Manny so you can have him when Rick retires. And, well, guess what? Rick didn't retire. He left, and you put Manny in place, and it was a bad decision. I just hope he makes one of the great turnarounds where you and I are like, wow, okay, all right, well, he is a good coach. And we're all freaking out that he made one hell of a turnaround. I hope that happens because certainly need it. Big time. What about the kids Manny just recruited on signing day? Do they know Enos was going to be fired? It's a great question, my brother. And I don't know if they're coming here because of Enos or they're coming because of Manny or they're coming because of the U. Don't know. It's a phenomenal question that I don't have the answer to because I'm not in the heads of all of these players. So I don't know. But that's something that you definitely gotta ask. Keep in mind that Bama has had a lot of crap coaches between Stallings and Saban. No, you're right. You're right. But Alabama's always been Alabama. Miami was never Alabama. Miami became an Alabama for a couple decades and now disappeared off the map. Alabama's been Alabama forever. And it's always been considered Alabama. They just need to find the coach. That's not the case here. Miami is not Miami because you can see the results for 15 plus years now. I would love to think that, but we're not Miami. I mean, we're not Alabama. Our team will never be Ohio State and Michigan and those kind of teams. Look, Michigan's been down for several years too. But Michigan will always be Michigan because they have the resources we will never have down here. And that's the sad part. All right, we got to wrap it up here on the show. We gave you 2 solid hours here of programming. We will have 3 more hours when we get down to Hialeah Park. Aaron Fentress, by the way, is going to join us. You know, we've been touring around college football. He covers the Ducks. So we'll talk to him about Justin Herbert. That'll be today our focus on the quarterbacks that are being drafted. And you know what? We'll ask him a little bit about Mario Cristobal. Maybe Aaron can convince him to, I don't know, come down here. Will Carroll, the injury expert, also set to join us. We'll have a Dolphins Dolphin president from a Dolphin club joining us around 3:30. So we got a bunch of things here on the program that we will talk about. We got the Heat and the Pacers tonight. Got a couple of other things that I want to get into. Bill, as always, driving the program, John Cassio. We thank all of you for tuning in. We will see you in 2 hours.
Not.
Hialeah Park.
Not.